Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me today here for my talk about embracing change. My name is Sonja Riesterer. I'm the marketing manager at IntegerNet. That's an agency that's located in Germany and focusing on Magento. Today I'm going to talk about this topic. It's a retake of a talk I had in Italy at Mage Titans some 1.5 years ago. Back then it was influenced a lot by moving from another company to IntegerNet. For me, changing jobs and city and locating my whole life. And right now it coincides quite nicely with the Magento 2.2 release, more or less. Back then it was Magento 2, and so I thought why not take up the opportunity and update it all, especially with Magento and my life, how it all changes during this time. Let's start with change in general. You might have heard of this saying, it's the only constant really is change. There is nothing that stays the same in our lives. Just think of this and think that this image is already completely outdated because that might have been the iPhone 1 or something, and we're way past that. In IT, change is so rapid. I mean, just think of JavaScript libraries coming and going, IT professionals changing their jobs in Germany on average every 4 years. And those of you who start as, for example, a PHP developer probably won't end their career lives as a PHP developer. You're gonna change a lot. So this is something that we can't escape of. It's the evolution taking place, and it's also in digital commerce a very strong factor. You might know the quote that it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the fastest or whatever. It's the one that is the most adaptable to change. It's the same with agencies in the IT sector. If you are not ready to change and your competitors are a lot better at adapting to the changing environments and the market, then one day you're gonna be out of it. So it's it for us is a factor of success if we are able to the environment to change accordingly. Unfortunately, though, change requires effort. It's something that takes up your energy. Say goodbye to your autopilot. When you go through changes, you can't rely on your old habits. You need to adapt and get rid of some of the old stuff that worked quite well and find out what's gonna work now. So this basically burns some calories in your brain. There are actually some people who advise you, if you want to lose weight, then get rid of your habits and do something new every day, take a different way to work, because that's gonna burn calories. Well, it's not that much, but still it keeps your brain active. There are changes coming towards you that can be big changes, can be small changes. Some of them are voluntary, some of them are not. If you are emotionally prepared for them, they are easier to handle. It's like the title says, it's embracing change. It's not bracing for change. You might know the command brace. You hopefully don't, but it's what the pilot might tell you in an airplane if it's about to hit the bottom. It's when you get into position with your arms against the rest of the person in front of you to soften the impact. And that's basically something that really just keeps away the energy that might hurt you, but it's not gonna help you really in the case of of IT changes or changes in your life if you just try to, get rid of them. So, unfortunately, change doesn't only require effort, but it's also chaos' little sister. I know that many people in IT really like their clean desks or clean desktop in the laptop. You're not gonna have that in these periods where life really is changing. There are so many things going on. I mean, you're off the established path. You're basically running around in the jungle trying to find your way. That's messy. I can tell from my own experience. I tried to maintain some kind of order during moving from one city to another, but at some point you either run out of boxes to neatly stack them, or you just realize that you're running out of time and things get a lot messier then. And also, even if it looks nice, well, they are not see-through. This was from this year, because I like change, I moved again. And it was the evening before traveling to a conference, and I was looking for my laptop charger in this room filled with boxes, and I couldn't find it because it was not in the box named cables, not in the box named laptops. It was somewhere else completely. And also, what I found out here, I had previously stacked these boxes again because I like stacking boxes. I'm a Tetris fan. But there is someone now living in my flat who thought of redecorating and reordering these boxes. So even though I knew where the cable was before, he changed all the boxes and I couldn't find the right box again. So yeah, change is something really messy. And also there's Murphy's Law. And it hits you right at the right times. When life hands you lemons, you have a few options to choose from. You can make lemonade from it, or throw it back at life, or just ask for salt and tequila. This was me. I mean, I cut off the face because that really doesn't matter here. Before moving from Hamburg to Aachen, so a move of some 500 kilometers, relocating my whole life. And just a few days before the actual moving date, I had a trip to ER, and guess what? It's not fun stacking boxes when you're on crutches. It adds to a nice story, though. It's actually understandable that once you are in these periods of changes, and once you are off the path, you know that you're just more prone to errors. Your energy is, basically wasted on this change sometimes, and your decisions are all over the place. And at one of these moments, you're just, you're gonna miss some information, or you run into an accident, or it sometimes really happens at the best moment. And then, if you think it can't get any worse, it will. This was my sofa, or it still is my sofa. It was successfully moved from one city to another, but then I found out that the sofa is bigger than the flat's front door. So the sofa had to stay for one night in the staircase of the house. And I had some time to think of what to do now. I had approximately 4 hours to manage to get the sofa from outside inside, because then I had to return a rented car. And so I considered my options. The first one is, desperation. Give in, sit in a corner and cry. It doesn't really help, though. The second was, chainsaw massacre. Destroy it all, kick it, be angry at it. But, if you've just been to the emergency room and you're still more or less on painkillers, it's not really helpful to kick a sofa. So actually, I took option number C, that was get to work. I took all the tools and cutters I had at the new flat and tackled the issue. I was standing on a ladder in the staircase, trying to take apart the sofa as much as possible when, hey, coincidence, a neighbor passed by and said, well, can I help you? I was like, whoa, that's a really nice offer here. He obviously saw that I had an issue at hand that I couldn't really manage on my own, and it also looked somewhat dangerous. So he helped me take the sofa apart even more and then push it somehow into the flat. Which brings me to my next point, and that is, it's dangerous to go alone. You might know the quote from The Legend of Zelda. It's really always helpful to have someone you can share your problems with. I mean, this planet Earth is home to more than, I think, 7 billion people. There is always someone out there who's going through a very similar or the same issue. Either they have managed it already and can share some tips, or you could just, well, share your problems over a drink or two. So this also helped me in these periods where I changed a lot. These are images from my previous colleagues at the old job who took me up in their company with no knowledge of Magento at all, and they answered every one of my my dumb questions I had of indexes, etc. And there's also Rico from the German community who was willing to introduce me to people who could help me. And the group shot was from a hackathon of Magento 2, where I arrived with a working Magento installation and left with the installation that wouldn't work anymore. It was basically a weekend where everyone realized, well, this is something big we now have to adapt to, and it's something that we haven't yet quite figured out. It was on the same way exhilarating and fun, and then also a lot of desperation in their faces. So it really did help, though. And yeah, why would you even want to have these changes in your life? For me, it's a way to reinvent myself. Whenever I moved from one city to another, it's basically opening a new blank page. And you do have your experience, your past, but still you can introduce you as maybe a new person. Don't forget everything about your life, because that's creepy as well. But it's a way to fine-tune the details and to change something in your life for the better. I'm now a part of the Magento community, quite active here and there, especially at events. But I used to be an English literature student, and it really has little to do with my job these days. And it feels to me like a real good going evolution of myself. And it certainly didn't help to just sit in a corner and read books. It's something nice to do. It gives you some nice quotes you can put on your presentations, but when you really want to become something else, it's always better to leave your house and go out there. If I had known before what my life would look like moving from the north of Germany to the center, to the UK, to the north again, and then to the south, Google Maps puts on a lot of warnings about it. There's private territory, ferries, multiple time zones and countries. It's pretty dangerous, but the trip I did in my life so far has been really fun, and each of these locations has taught me a lot about myself, has actually made me happier, more self-confident, and more open to adventures. So from my perspective, it's been, even with the bad days that were there, it's been a good journey so far. And well, you could say that new is always better. If you're more of a poet, you might say there's magic dwells in each beginning. This is a quote from Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, who is or a fan of having something new every night. It's it certainly has certain yeah, just a new, like some new clothes. I mean, we all like to have something that's that changes a bit, and we realized that this is actually, well, can be quite nice. For example, this was at Intergenet, the second day of my job there. We went for a local race with the whole company, and they tried to make me feel welcome and feel at home in the new city as fast as possible. It was a really cool time then. It still is. And even though, well, I liked my old colleagues, and they have, well, taught me a lot. It's still something very exciting at the new company. And I'm very thankful for what they did, like giving me city tours and inviting me to their homes so I wouldn't feel so alone. And helping me with all the local questions you can have, like where do I get the special, or the special kinds of plastic bags I need for separating garbage, like German issues of life. And yeah, this is an image of the Magento meetup in Hamburg that I used to coordinate, and until I left Hamburg. So when I get back one evening, they well, had sparkling wine, and everyone looks quite happy here. I mean, that's it. The first meetup I was attending, I was already the co-organizer. I had no idea of Magento. I had no idea of the people that would be there. And I was the one supposed to welcome everyone to the room and greet them and make them feel welcome, even though I was the one who would have loved to hide in a corner. Unfortunately, though, it's not socially acceptable to hide, so it was more of yeah, a fall into the cold water then, and it took some time to get used to it, but now I really do like these meetups. I now co-organize the one in Aachen as well, and certainly sometimes the drinks help. I sound like an alcoholic here. I'm not intentionally. Yeah. If you think of Magento 2 and how you tackle it, some people think that they might be too late at adapting it. I can tell you, you're not. There is the saying that pioneers take the arrows and settlers take the land. Like if you are the one trying to push forward as the first one, you're gonna get hit. And the ones that follow you actually have an easier way. It certainly is the same case with Magento. Magento 2.2 giving you now a better starting point than Magento 2.0. And also you can have all these best practices, documentations, etc. that other people have already written blog posts about it that make it a lot easier for you. So even if you think that there's a change that other people are mastering so easily and you might need longer for it, that's okay. Everyone's going at their own pace, and Magento 2 won't run away from you. It's gonna stay here for a while. So if you are about to have some changes in your life, this might be a list that could help you. I found that talking about my plans is especially helpful. For example, if I'm looking for a new flat, I would just talk about it to basically whenever the opportunity arises. There is always someone who could either help you themselves or point you to someone or a resource that would be helpful for you. And then also team up, like I had my colleagues that would be my mentors, or just to share my problems with other people who were new in Aachen. That's always helpful. And actually, we're no longer in high school, so people actually like to help you. And some even take pride in being the one to give advice. So this is, it's quite nice and a good way to socialize too. If you're positive about it and, well, thankful for the resources you're given, then it's people are more willing to help you too. Also, one point is settle in your new environment. Unpack these boxes. It doesn't really help if you try to prolong the period of change. It's just gonna get worse. So unpack everything, find your laptop charger, and maybe settle also in your new job by bringing your old coffee mug or something in that regard that just helps you feel more at home. For me, especially for moving from one location to the other, is that don't try any half-hearted attempts. It's just gonna tear off your energy with all the decisions you have to make. And if you're trying to compare your current situation to your past again and again, that's always, well, energy that you waste there, basically. It's a lot better if you just put on a time frame where you stick to the new one, and then at that time point X, reevaluate. For me, I was going to Aachen and said, I'll be here for at least 2 years, and then we'll see. So after pretty exactly 2 years, I moved to a new flat, and basically settling there even more, making a definite decision to stay there for, I think, next 5 or 10 years at least. We'll see. And it also helps you to live right now. I mean, we are here in life, and even if things are thrown upon you that you don't really want, sometimes you can't help it, and it's better to just embrace them as they are and live with them, and you'll be fine. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. If you're coming out of HR or out of ER in one piece, yeah, go on with it. There is also this saying that if humans learned how to walk as adults, we would all end up in wheelchairs because we're so prone to give up. Children are more willing to try again and again and again until they master it. And they certainly also have their team to back them up and their parents to encourage them. But this is something that we should always think of, that you could either give up or try another time. And actually it usually helps you to try again. Okay. So, as Sherry mentioned, I have 3 topics you could easily talk to me that are completely un-Magento. I like dogs. I also like cats, but not as much as dogs. I don't have a car, so I have 2 bikes. And I'm pretty much into ballroom dancing. I started when I moved to Aachen. Another thing I changed in my life, like getting rid of running and exercises and just do dancing. And this is a conference where it's all about talking to people. So if you want to talk to me, either right now or later, do it. You could ping me on Twitter, email, whatever you like. And I hope you enjoyed the show of my, of the changes that's been here. And thank you for your attention.